Hey everybody, I know it's been a little bit since I made a video. I've done some things. I made a flint knapping pressure pad based on Patrick Blank's, or aka Jack Crafty's design. I like it. I also made a new pressure flaker with a nail, and I like it because if I push too hard it bends, so I know if I'm pushing too hard. And I've also got a short stiff nail for in the beginning. One of Patrick's little spatula tools. I do have this knife sharpener. It noise alert. It makes short work of that instead of a file. My indirect, I do metal on metal, which I got the whole deal from this from Patrick. Metal on metal. This cap is brass. Pipe is a 1/2 inch steel. Works pretty good for me. And but what I'm doing today is, yesterday I made this basic triangular point from a flake, and I wanted to make sure that I could do it. It's friggin' sharp as heck. And so what I have today, look at this one I found on the floor. I'm going to mount this in an arrow, just like that. Be for rabbit hunting. Or groundhogs. I haven't seen any groundhogs this year, but I'm sure they're out there. But that's what that'll be for. I'm saving that special flake to test. This is kind of like the Neanderthals. You know, they had a ridge, and then they would take a flake on the side, and then hit where the ridge is, and get a basically triangular point. I may bring this side in and sharpen it just a little to straighten it out, but I might not. I might see what that is. Now, today, I've got this flake of Texas amoeba. It is raw. And I've been breaking a lot of points lately. And, so that's why I made Patrick's thing, because he seems to, not break so many. And I don't think that he hides it like some people, just, so they don't look like they don't know what they're doing. Like me, like I don't hide it. I don't know what I'm doing. If I do, I do, and if I don't, I don't. But this is a perfect, flake. And I've got buckets of these because I'm pretty good at spalling these. And I used to sell flint, so, I never really sold these little flakes like this, but I sold Flint Ridge. I still have some I might put up for sale, but I just don't feel like heat treating. It's been too hot and dry. So maybe once winter gets here and it cools down, I'll do some heat treating when I need the heat in the shop. But that's all. This is going to be all pressure flaking. You can see it's already, where's my calipers? Do I have a caliper? Well, I have a caliper, but is it easily found is another question. Should be in this bucket, I think. Yeah, you could tell I just cleaned my shop like a week ago. It's all a friggin' mess again. Anyways, I got my little machinist measure. This flake is, we're not going to count this because it's going to go away. 1.25 inches wide. And let's see. It's kind of hard to see. 1/8 thick. So it's going to be a little bit challenging. It's going to be all pressure. I'm going to use a diamond file. I get these at Harbor Freight. My handles are just elm that I cut in my yard. Elm and what's the other one? Box elder. I cut in my yard. And I don't know, if you don't like pressure flaking, you know, this is not the video for you. But if you are beginning to learn, you know, I would suggest that you start with flakes like this, because you can buy like 2 pounds of these flakes for probably 30 bucks with shipping, and you could literally attempt to make probably 50 points and learn. Everything you have to do on this is the same you have to do on a big point, so it's not that unrealistic to just use flakes to learn. And I made the pad because Patrick always has the problem too of, like this, you can hardly see that flint on that pattern. I don't know if you can tell, but I added a 220 watt lumen off in the distance so it's more even light, and I hope I don't get as many shadows. But I painted black on one side, well, magic marker, and I can see real easily. And I'll probably cut this up to certain points, you know, whenever there's a change, because it's basically just pushing down. This thing is so thin, you don't want to try and thin it until you're at your final shape. Now, if you could see this, them little pops right there, they will cut. That is basically how you sharpen. You get it real thin and you just pop down, and they're, you know, they're cutting me. See, look. So, but it's a whole lot of just trimming around the edge until you get to the final close to the final shape. And you're not going to probably, unless you make a real skinny point, you're probably not going to get flakes clear across on both sides. But see, I did that on this one, and you know, there's flakes there, but this side is all flakes. But in this flint, this is amoeba. It doesn't really show the flake scars that good in my opinion, but it naps really good. It doesn't have to be heat treated. I did all these spalls in the raw state. No, you know, so I did heat treat. I got a bucket full of this heat treated, but I was planning on selling them, the heat treated, and I still might put it in small boxes and, you know, sell them off so I can buy some more flint. But you know, I like making small points. I can make big, like this big from a piece. To me, that's easier because you have a lot more material to set up your platforms. And even when it gets, quote, thin, like if it's this wide, 3 inches wide, it could be as thick as this rim, and be 7:1, and that is technically thin, 7:1, but it's still, you know, 3/8 thick. Whereas this, or small points in particular, when they get to 7:1, they'll be like 3/32, or 1/8, or, you know, whatever's bigger than 1/8 and less than 1/4, 3/16. You know, they will be really thin, and it doesn't take much to snap them. Now, I only made this pad yesterday, so I'm still learning all the intricacies of it, and I've been wanting to. Squirrel season came in like 2 weeks ago, and I've been wanting to go hunting, but it's just too hot. Um, I don't want to. I don't want to, be hunting and be successful and, have the thing spoiled before I even get home. That's not my gig. Like I only hunt what I'm going to use, which is one of the reasons why I don't do fur trapping. Now, if there's if an animal gets hit by a car on the road, I'll pick that up and, clean that fur up and make something out of it. But, I don't trap specifically to, to get the fur. And, if I'm not going to eat it, I was going to try raccoon. There's a lot of recipes for raccoon. So, I'm not in hillbilly land, but I live in West Virginia, and, the Appalachians, in the olden days, you had to do what you had to do. So I've seen recipes for raccoon and skunk and muskrat. I'll tell you one thing. I do love me some squirrels. Now you see this. This is where the spall come off. That, even when that looks good, it's always iffy. So I never count on that. But I do like right below it. I tend to make my points an inch wide, because they penetrate better, and I use a 40-pound bow, self bow that I quote make myself, and the not as wide points penetrate better with the lighter bows. And the arrows go faster with the lighter arrows, with the lighter points. And I don't shoot past 15 yards. And I calculate that very meticulously. Before season starts, I pick my area that I'm going to hunt, and I go where I'm going to be standing or sitting or hiding, and then I have a 20-yard tape measure. It's actually more like 50 or whatever, 50 foot, but I'll stretch that out, and I'll mark a tree, and I'll stretch it out, and I'll mark a tree, and and I mark them all, so I know if it's on this side of the mark, it's in range. If it's on the other side of the mark, I gotta wait. I gotta wait till they get a little closer. But I set my stuff up pretty good. I always look for a spot where there's a path, and then there'll be a tree and a tree. And what I do is I make sure I have a good path. I like to have crossing paths to where they come from different, all over the hill. But when the animal comes, say this, do this. This is going to be the animal. This is my setup. This is two rather large trees. When they come down the path, I see them. I only hunt this area. Even though they're all around, I only hunt here. I don't look off to my right. I don't look off to my left. I don't do anything to move, because I'm half blind and I can see a squirrel in a tree 100 yards away if it's moving. So when the deer comes along, I have a scent hanging on this, what do they call it, anise, a little stick of anise on it hanging down. it'll stop there and it'll smell that, and it might try to eat it or whatever. And then when it moves on, I have another one over here. So when it's here, I draw. And when it gets over to here, I have another one with a different scent, maybe like lemon or apple. And when it gets right here and stops, that's when I take my shot. Its head will be behind this tree, and it won't hear the bow, it won't hear the arrow. It'll just be standing there with its head stretched up, smelling the scent attractor, and it's all over in a few seconds. If I don't feel like I got a perfect shot, I don't take it. I'm just not, I'm not starving or whatever. If my family was starving, or something was going on, like people always say STF or whatever, SHF, or crap hits the fan, I would just trap that deer. I would put a big noose on that path, and whatever deer went through there, they would be trapped. Tie it to a big log, they take off running, the log wears them out, they lay down, and I would track them down. And that basically works for any animal. If you're in a tough situation, I always think trapping is better. But like I said, we're not, at least my family's not. I mean, I'm sure some people are having a tough time. We're having a little bit of a difficult time. We're kind of on semi-fixed income. I do work a little bit, and my wife is disabled, and I'm partially disabled. So we have a little bit going on. The place we live, we don't have to pay rent or anything. So, and I have a farmer buddy that I go help. I keep his walk-in coolers and stuff going, and he gives me some beef and hog, pigs, whatever you want to call it. And then when in the winter, when everybody's hunting, we put all the deer in that walk-in cooler and let them age for a while. This stuff is so sharp. I know that edge looks jaggedy, but I'm telling you, you don't want to get hit with that. And I'm just trying to get my basic shape. I'm trying to keep a little bit of color, but I got to get this cortex off, because it's just miserable. Now, see, if you were just learning, you would get to see what your flakes do. And a lot of flint knapping books and stuff don't tell you what a platform is. They tell you kind of, but my next video, I'm going to do a large obsidian knife, I think, or it just might be I draw my interpretations of a platform and what I do. Everybody, well, not everybody, but nappers kind of have their own way of doing things. At least I do, because I can't do what a lot of the other guys do, but I used to. I have arthritis in my hands. It's been really getting me down. But I don't know if this edge is visible or not. But this edge is beveled like this. And so every one of these little spots is actually a platform. And when I come back on shaping, uh, for hunting, this doesn't need anything more than a sharp edge. It's perfectly straight, super sharp. So this will be an easy to make hunting point. And when I first started flint knapping, that's the points I made. And I got deer and a couple raccoons that were causing problems. I've shot groundhogs. I do eat groundhog, just like a giant squirrel to me. But I probably got 6 deer with something like this. But it was window glass. I had real thin window glass from when we tore our old trailer down back in, I want to say, '89. And that was when I first saw in traditional bow hunter a article on flint knapping, and it was just the very basics. I got to get this little curve out of the tip, but it was just the very basics. And my wife was really mad at me because I was doing glass and I wasn't being very careful, and I didn't know it. And that's why you don't really do white glass or clear glass, because you can't see it. Like, I would think I cleaned everything up, and a piece would come in on the bottom of my shoe or fall off of my trousers, and she would come out of the shower and instantly find it with her foot. And that'll happen to you if you do that. I recommend, if you're going to do glass, do like colored beer bottles. The blue Bud Light Platinum bottles, it's not good glass. Quartz, the bottom from quartz, quart Strohs or whatever, is way better. And it's colored, so you can actually see what you're doing. I think I'm just going to have to take this off because it's just hanging down, and I don't think there's any way I can straighten that out. Okay, now we're straight. Got a good point. I don't make the tips super pointy. I mean, I make them pointy, but not like a thin little needle, because I don't want the tip to break off. And believe me, if your arrow is an appropriate weight, your point's thin enough, and you haft it correctly, you don't have to have a needle like this, like a needle point, to penetrate. And the reason being, if you have this sharp cut on front, and you'll see there's a lot of modern points that they call, cut on contact. That's what I've always used when I hunt with my modern. And then, but then I did find Thunderhead. And the Thunderheads quickly became my favorite point. There's no doubt about that. But I don't hunt with modern anymore. Not modern, like a modern. I hunt with a bow I make, or a I guess they would call it, quote, traditional, but it's modern fiberglass wooden bow, reflex deflex longbow. I don't do the recurves. I think they're harder to shoot, when they have that recurve in them. For me, because it seems like that snap at the end and the torquing doesn't work so good. I know it makes the arrows faster, but they tend to be shorter. And if I'm going to shoot a short bow, I shoot it early in the year, like right now when there's lots of leaves and stuff, where I can get within 5 yards. And if it was legal, I could hunt with a spear, but I already asked the state game warden if you could hunt with a spear, and he said there's no season. I said, well, there's archery. He goes, yeah, that's a bow and arrow. That's not a spear. And I said, well, I guess if you're being literal, that is true. So that kind of ruined my atlatl inspiration, because I think that would be harder than a bow, an atlatl. But for deer, now, an elephant or something, probably not. And I'm sure if you... Now you see, I'm not running any flakes in because I'm thin enough. When I get to, 3/4 of an inch, well, actually 1 inch wide, 7/8, then I'll run some flakes in just to thin the edge up a little. But this is super sharp with just this beveling. You don't really need to run this stuff in, and that's my thing too. I nap. Now I do make some jewelry, and when I make jewelry, I start with, first of all, colorful pieces of stuff, and I do pay attention on getting the flaking right. But mostly my stuff is to use, and the quicker I can make it, the better it is, because I could shoot this and miss and it just go off into the woods, never find it. I could shoot this and miss and it could hit a tree and break, or a rock. I can shoot this and hit, and it can hit, and the animal can twist it or whatever and break. So I want to be as quick as I can, and that's why I make these thin flakes, instead of starting with a piece like this big, a spall like this, and then making this little point with perfect dimensions and flake scars. So, I mean, there are things that I do that way, but that's just for jewelry. And I used to make a lot more jewelry, and I might start again, because I'm making a furnace to melt metal and glass in. So then I can, I can pick up scrap glass and melt it and add some, intriguing stuff to it to make it different colors, and make jewelry with that. You'd be surprised, but glass points are very popular for jewelry. Green and red and blue swirls. 2 years ago, I went to Hobby Lobby and I got some glass like aquarium pellets, and I took the black and the yellow ones and melted them together with my torch. It's kind of an expensive way to do it with the torch. Had a little clay bowl, something, you know, like this, but with a bowl in it, and I would melt it and kind of stir it a little, let it cool till it was solid, and pick it out and cover it up with the fiberglass insulation until it cooled. Made some pretty cool points. Let me see where I'm at. Inch and 3/16. Getting there. But I know, well, I don't know, but I think a lot of people think pressure flaking is boring. But if you're getting into primitive archery hunting, in order to make consistent hunting points, you have to be able to pressure flake. Now, a way to make them faster is to get slabs. I don't like slabs because they never seem to be the right thickness. See, like, oh, I guess that's a flake. I thought that was a slab. I should have some slabs in here. Well, this qualifies as a slab. This is old glass from a bookshelf, and it's the right thickness. And the thing with this is you can cut it to the exact width and pressure flake it, and that's all you got to do. And that glass is very strong. I had 6 points that I used for 2 years, and target practice and all, they never broke. You know, I missed a lot of shots at squirrels and go pick them up out of the ground. Really good. That's why I kept that. I only have like three of those size sheets left. The most important thing for your point not to break is that it's straight. Has to be straight. If it's straight, it has a lot better chance of not breaking. Because stone is strong in compression. I know, you know, stone is strong in compression. So if it doesn't bend, it won't break. Basically, you know how it is. And if it's not too thin, it won't break. Or too long. Like I've seen a lot of them real arrow points, and they'll be a 1/2 inch wide and 2 or 3 inches long. I don't know how practical that is unless you're having troubles with somebody and you want to shoot somebody with it and teach them a lesson. Okay, we're going to have a little bit of noise if you're wearing headphones. I got to sharpen my pressure flaker. I love that. It's terrible for knives. It won't sharpen a knife for to save your life, but it does really good on sharpening the flint knapping tools. I had to sharpen that because my platforms are tiny, and they're basically the sides of the flake before, like right there. I'll push that up and it'll block out a nice sharp chunk. So when I'm done, I don't have to grind it or sharpen it. It'll be sharp when it's done. And if you notice, when I'm doing these, I'm not grinding at all. Not grinding on the point. Some things you have to, like obsidian, in order for it to grip, because obsidian's slippery, you have to grind a little to put some scratches for it to actually grip. I'm running out of stuff to talk about. I'm making a basic triangle. It's called a Madison. It might have a little curve in the base. I don't remember, but basic triangle is plenty good for hunting. It's not good for selling unless it's really colorful, a really colorful piece, but you still have to put notches and wire wrap it and stuff to be able to sell it. And you notice I'm working on this side mostly because I want to keep this colored. Doesn't always work that way, but good raw flint for me, making these small points is better than heat treat because it's less likely to break. Now you can still break it. In this pad, with the Patrick's shape, has actually helped my fingers would hurt after just a little bit, but it's really been helping with that. I'm going to take a little off of this side so it'll be a little bit longer, but not that much. I made this pad from a 1x3 furring strip. I chopped it and then sanded it round. And this is from Hobby Lobby, a thin, really soft, like velvety leather, and it's working pretty good. It's not slippery, so it doesn't like I don't have to hold as much. My index finger is the one that really has, a bad arthritis. And with this one, with this pad, I only just put it there so that I can have something to push against. I don't even have to pry down. Now, one thing though that this pad does do, until you figure it out, I think you got to work on the end, because when it hits this pad, it'll stop your pressure flakes. At least mine, anyways. So I'm not too keen on that. But when it's this thin, this pad is awesome. Now when I'm using that 1/4-inch glass, I don't need a pad like this because I don't thin it. 1/4-inch, I thin a little bit towards the tip. Fits in my arrow, 11/32 arrow, really good. So it doesn't have to be thinned. And that's why they don't break, because they're thicker and It's annealed glass. It's really strong. Now, I don't know about tempered glass. I don't know really what tempered glass is. I always think of safety glass when I hear that, and you can't flake that because it'll just shatter. You know, like a car window, just shatter to a million little cubes. Razor sharp, razor sharp. The tip, I save the tip. I don't go to the tip till the end because I want the tip thicker and strong, so that if I accidentally push on it or something, it doesn't break the pieces. Switched from soda to water. It's not very enjoyable right now. But I'm learning to like it. The doctor told me that the phosphoric acid in the soda, the phosphorus in it replaces the calcium, and then the calcium gets to float around somewhere and deposit. So if you drink soda, it's not good. It's not good. There's awesome. Let's do the measure. Okay, there's 1 inch. Now, the final flaking. It's super sharp right now as it is, but I'm going to come down and I'm going to flake off of I'm going to do the flakes so that the scar takes the previous flake's base with it. So I'm left with a single super sharp sinuous edge. See that edge? Razors. I'm going to go to the other side and do it the opposite way. I'm going to go from the tip if you zoom in, you'll see that I'm up on the point. I'm up on the surface a little, and I'm pushing it, in this case, forward. And it'll take that dull spot right off. Now, tip. The tip is the part that's really crazy. Okay, that's basically done, except to square off the bottom a little, which you in this case, I really don't have to do, but and you don't need notches. Okay, close enough. Take this off. I might concave the base a little bit to make it a little bit easier to level in the haft. There we go. Basic beginner, or as in my case, 30 plus years of hunting, arrowhead that you won't be ashamed, or I won't say ashamed, but you won't mind losing if it were breaking, because it went pretty fast. It took longer in the video because I was talking and stuff, but it'll go pretty fast. And thanks for watching, and if you would, it would be awesome to give me a like and a subscribe, and look forward to some hunting videos coming, because as soon as the weather gets cooler, starts to rain a little, it's like a forest fire hazard here, so I'm not really going out in the woods that much because I don't want to cause a calamity. Have a good day.